So the last couple of videos that I made were about runways, video to video AI capabilities, and really how I preferred that over image to video AI just because of the control that you have over how the characters move, how the camera moves. But since I made those, Kling AI has come out with an update, an add on called a motion brush, which gives you a little bit more control. But for anybody not familiar with Kling AI, it came out shortly after OpenAI released Sora, and it really expanded on what the possibilities are for image to video or just video AI in general. It was kind of springboarding off of that and what will be capable in the future, what is capable now. You know, you can see some of the examples here, like this dog in the water. And, you know, if you were to just see this, it looks pretty real. So some are better than others. They have this alien. This is from Alien Earth. This is the new Alien Earth show that's coming up. And, you know, the xenomorph, when he comes to Earth, is going to be shopping, playing basketball. There is a pretty dramatic scene where the xenomorph moves into the big city, gets on the New York subway system for the first time, you know, has to try to navigate just life on Earth compared to being in space. But, you know, it all turns out good in the end because he ends up getting that corporate job and being set up for life with the 401k and all that. But back to Kling. This is a decent image generator. I would say it's on par with Midjourney and others. But yeah, I suggest you come check it out, klingai.com. It's free, so you just sign up, and as you can see, 66 credits renew every day, which is cool. And it seems like they stack because I haven't bought any credits on here. I haven't paid for any, so I have 146. So if you were interested in buying something, here are the prices for that. There's a monthly price. You know, it used to be that Kling was only available through an app called Quicut, and you had to have a Chinese phone number, and everything was in Chinese. And so the way that I was able to access it is that I spent tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, traveling the world, trying to train with the greatest linguistics masters of all time in order to learn how to speak and read and write in the language so that I could use the app to create images and videos in AI. But then they released it on a website, so I just came home. So let's jump over AI videos into Kling Creative Space, image to video. And if you look here, it's not a lot of settings. And as a side note, this is sort of why I don't really view these videos I'm making as tutorials. Like, my purpose of these videos is more discussion. It's just to talk about my experience as I'm going through this. And I'm going to show you all the steps that I take and, you know, the results and what I'm finding. But this is the purpose of these are far more of a long form discussion about this topic of video AI and more broadly how it can be utilized in filmmaking, how filmmakers can use these tools. And it's me as a filmmaker experiencing these, testing it out, and letting you know my thoughts and what I think. To do a tutorial on these it's pretty much self-explanatory. You drag and drop a picture, you put in your prompt, and there's only a couple of settings, right? So there's not really much there for a tutorial. I could do a short maybe, and if you want to see that, let me know, and I can do shorts as tutorials, so you'd have like 1 2 minute ones. But I also think that there's a lot of that on YouTube already. If you want to get more detailed into how to structure a prompt and the right language to use, I think there's probably far more experienced, far better people who have been in this world of AI that can explain it longer, that maybe even know more about how each different website handles the prompting language and all that. And honestly, like, if you know people that are really great at that, please tag them in the comments, recommend them, because I would love to check that out too, because I am also learning along with explaining what I'm finding. So, anyways, just as a side, that's sort of my intention with these videos is discussion over tutorial. Anyway, to jump into the tutorial of today of the motion brush, we're going to have to jump back in time a little bit because I actually recorded me going over this several days ago because one of the drawbacks of the free account with Kling is that they take so long to generate. This one has been generating for probably 4 days or so, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. But you know, it took probably 2 days for this one. This is what we're going to talk about. And it probably took a day for this. I've had ones that were finished the same day, and I've had ones that took 2 weeks to finish. So, you know, I guess between a free account and a paid account, that's what you get if you pay for it. If this is something that you get into and you really like the results, if you look at the motion brush and you say, this is perfect for what I need, maybe you pay for a membership and you get instant results. We look back up here, that's here, exclusive fast track generations. So, it's all about, I guess, you get what you pay for. I'm doing under the free one, so I have to wait a few days, which means I have to wait a few days to finish making the video. So if we bring up this Roman soldier and we look at what I did, I have this image that I created in Midjourney. We have the prompt, a Roman soldier standing with his back toward the camera, battered and bruised. He slowly walks forward toward the ruins, standing in the middle of the Colosseum, the sun setting in the distance, creating magic hour lighting, illuminating the hazy, dusty atmosphere around him. The camera follows along with him forward as he walks, a slow, smooth, cinematic shot from a low angle. And this is how I kind of separated it with describing the character, describing the environment and the lighting here, and then the camera movement. And I don't know if maybe you change those around, if it will affect anything. That's just sort of the structure of the prompt that I've found works fairly well on things. This is the result that we ended up getting. So you can see him moving forward. You see all the hazy environment, the clouds moving overhead. So how did we get to that? Well, if you look over here in the motion controls, you have the ability to select 6 different areas, and the track is the arrow, essentially the direction you want it to move. You can do an arc, and if you have one of the examples they had before was a cat jumping over I think it was a bowl or something, so they arced the arrow over. So if I reset all this, let me just go ahead and reset this. You turn auto segmentation on. To me, that makes it a little bit easier, but if you have it off, you're basically drawing like a paintbrush. But with auto segmentation on, you can automatically select your character. So all you do is click, and you just click on all the pieces until it's selected. And then once it's selected, you come over to the track. Do I want them to jump? Do I want them to go forward? Do I want them to turn around? If you did like a curve, maybe you would turn around. What I did was I just went forward. And you don't draw this arrow, you just draw a straight line. It'll create the arrow. First time I did it, I made the mistake of trying to draw the arrow and it just created a curve. So the thing I wanted to do next was isolate the sky. So I selected all parts of the sky that I could. And I said I wanted the clouds moving in the opposite direction just to make it a little bit more interesting. Oh, see, I just did what I said not to do. So that's what happens as an example. And I want the clouds to go this direction. Now also what I've read is that the distance of the arrow also goes to the intensity of the motion. So had I drawn an arrow like that, the clouds probably would be zooming by really fast. The other thing you have is right here, static area prevents areas from generating movements. So obviously we wouldn't want any of the structure of the Colosseum to be moving. So you just go through and select all of this. Now, I went through and selected each individual part that I could, but I do think that, and I'll show you on the second test that I ran why I don't think it's entirely necessary. But yeah, you just select as much as you can, and it will prevent it from having a lot of movement. And then you would just hit confirm, and it saves it, and then it would bring you back to here where you would just hit generate and it would roll it. You can also put some negative prompts down here. I put cartoony and realistic movement, fast. I didn't want handheld camera. There is, if you're not using motion path, there is also a camera movement. Although they disable this, I don't know why, because I wish they didn't have this disabled. Because if you look at the result and then you look at my prompt, I have the camera follows along with him as he walks forward. So I wanted him to be walking and then the camera kind of tracks with him, right? But the camera's not moving at all. It's just static. So I think it would have been a lot cooler if they allow you to also do camera movement. There is a 1.5, which is only available if you subscribe. Maybe it's unlocked in there, or maybe as they get to a 2.0 of this, it'll be unlocked. But so this is the first, no, this is the second one. As you can see, very similar, although he takes kind of a step back as if, I don't know, something shocked him up here. Maybe he's looking at the Colosseum destroyed. But if we look through here, you got a lot of pretty nice dust and atmosphere moving through the air. It moved all these people walking around. It just creates more interest in the image. And of course, our clouds up here are moving in the direction that we want to, which is opposite of the direction that he's walking. And we have a nice sun bloom and all that over here. So we have a second one that I did here. And as you can see, his walk is a little different. I like this walk better, actually. It's a little more powerful, determined walk. And then we have this one, which is, it kind of looks clunky, something going on. People aren't moving down here, really. The difference I did with this one, same exact prompt, but we'll jump in here. I only highlighted his head, and I did like a little turn because I wasn't sure that if I didn't select his entire body, and this is what I meant by when I said, I don't know if you have to select the entirety of the Colosseum, because I think the AI knows enough that those pieces are attached. But I was trying to see if, would his head come off and just float off like a Stretch Armstrong, or would he just stand there and then turn? Even though in the prompt it says that he's walking, I just wanted to test to see what it would do if I didn't select his whole body. And it's smart enough to know that that head is attached to a body and that body needs to walk because I said he walks. So, that's good about it. It's smart enough to do that. It's good that it's not going to give you some extremely glitched out thing if you're only selecting the head. Now, of course, you'll have to, if you just want the head to turn, you'll have to adjust the prompt in that way. So there it is, Motion Brush. It is another tool to help control the movement of your images that you're working with in AI. And control is really the big thing for me, which is why I still tend to lean toward video to video AI. But, this adds an extra layer on top of image to video, which I still think there's an element of it's a roll of the dice with image to video. But, maybe this gives you a loaded pair of dice that you can use to finagle your way into whatever this analogy is I'm trying to make. So I just wanted to add in one more thing on the motion brush. When you're in this menu here, if you look down at the bottom, you have motion brush user guide. If you bring this up, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, because I'll let you experiment and look through all these videos and what it can do. But I really just wanted to point out that it's not just straight arrows. You can use squiggly lines to move the water, to move the one of the examples has grass moving, a flame, and so you can experiment with how you put the arrows in there and how it works with whatever object, whatever character you're moving. We can see here their result of the water flowing and the boat moving. So you can compare how that works. And it goes through different models. Here's the cat I was talking about that jumps over the bull here, and it's 100% accurate to a cat. Now the animation of it is wonky, but here there is 100% accurate to any cat. If anybody's ever owned a cat, that is pretty amazing that it knows exactly where a cat's feet are going to go is right into your cereal bowl. But yeah, check that out. And again, that is right down here. But while we're here in Kling, I wanted to move a little bit beyond Motion Brush and show something I did before Motion Brush came out. And so if we jump into assets, and here you'll see all the videos that I've generated in Kling so far. And you will see there's quite a bit of these space scenes. And so I'm going to show you the result of what this is, and then we'll come back and talk about that. So the idea behind all of this was essentially an inspiration loop. So I'm developing a story right now that's similar to this, similar kind of in theme. And I had the idea, it's still in the outline stage. I haven't started writing the screenplay yet. So I'm still generating all the ideas. But I knew about certain moments, certain scenes, and I thought, what if I use this to get a glimpse into the future? What if I use this as sort of, like I said, an inspiration loop in which I input the idea into Midjourney and try to get images close to what I think the scenes would look like, take those into Kling, image to video, and then put together what essentially is like a concept trailer. And then, watching it back inspires new ideas. And I say, oh, that's great. Yeah, I see this happening in the shot, but then this will happen after that. And, add to the tension or whatever, I'm being a little vague here with it, but the idea is that it's another tool that the writer or filmmaker, wherever you're at, can use to help develop your ideas, to visualize your ideas. If you can figure out how to make AI work for you, then it's just going to become a very powerful tool. And so, going over some of these, what we can see is that it's not all perfect, right? I'm looking at this. She has her face sort of distort as her hand goes over. We can look at this one here. This one is more so on the image generation side. I didn't realize that her hair was sticking up through the helmet. Like over here, I guess this props goes to Kling because it kind of fixed that. but originally that was coming up. So, you get those with AI, and that was my fault. That's not a fault of Kling. But one thing was this shot that I found interesting, and you'll notice this is reversed from what was in the trailer. But her legs are kind of bound like a mermaid. So the original shot you can see there, and I did want her floating, like coming through the ship, and for some reason it made her go backwards. But it put her in some sort of like blanket mermaid suit. So what I did was, I ended up reversing the shot, and I kind of just started it about there. And so you only saw that much. You didn't get to see that. So, you know, I didn't want to do, again, like I said earlier, some of these take a long time. So I would generate it, and it's not like I intended it to be something I was going to use as a pitch trailer to sell the film or try to get funding. If you were going to do that, you'd probably want to spend more time refining as much as possible, or seeing how far you can push video to video AI. But for what I was using it for, which was just to try to generate new ideas, I think it worked perfectly fine. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was this video. Now, if you watched the first one, you saw the Western clips. I wanted to try to describe one of those clips, to go through text to video and see what it would come out with and if it was close to this clip I was describing. So I did my best to explain what was going on in the other clip. And the only thing I couldn't put in here was mention of a revolver, because anytime I put in revolver or pistol or gun, it would deny it for community guidelines. So I don't know if there's ways to get around that if you wanted to, but that's the experience I had. But other than that, I tried to explain the camera movement and everything as close as possible. This is what came out. This is the original shot that I used video to video, and as you can see, there is quite a difference in how dynamic the shot is. Whereas this looks like a commercial for a corn company or something like that, this is clearly more cinematic. And I think this just goes to show the progression that we've come from text to video all the way now to video, and the control. That's like the word of the day is control, that we are starting to have over these tools of video AI. And I think that if we keep moving in the progression of this stage over here, then there's going to be a lot of really exciting opportunities that come up for us to tell our stories and to get those ideas that maybe otherwise in the past would have never been accessible to some people, to be able to tell them, at least, maybe some things aren't completely photorealistic. Maybe they will be in the future. But we can get much closer, and the outlook looks much better to being able to get those opportunities for people to tell those stories that otherwise wouldn't. Again, I go back to what I said in the first video. I think that at a certain level, humans, people should be the priority of hiring to collaborate. I think it's always going to be better. But again, my whole point, the whole discussion that I like to talk about this is my experience as a filmmaker who is not at that level, who doesn't have those connections, and is just looking at the technology that is releasing, that is going to make it an easier process for filmmakers to get their ideas out there. And so, anyway, that's about all I had to talk about, and this is the end of the video.